Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hey everyone, checking in on the MJ sector. We're going to do the US and Canada in one video. I'm recording in an RV at a music festival. I'll upload it when I get internet again. And we had a big day on Friday, so this is not unusual. Anytime I leave a computer, it's an ongoing joke, whether it's cryptocurrency or MJ, something big's going to happen if I'm away from the computer. So unfortunately, I didn't get any of this move. I haven't been on a computer Thursday or Friday, but there's a lot to be watching in this upcoming week, and it's going to be marked by earnings. And if you've been watching these videos, you know that while I am aware of the earnings dates, they have not been that important to me. This, in my opinion, after watching the Canadian MJ sector for 2 years plus now, this is the most important earning season for me because of the point on these charts and the point in the psychological cycle as to when it's taking place. So here's the list that we're looking at. We got Cron and Labs leading the way. Then we're going to be watching CGC Thursday. Thursday is going to be the biggest day for the MJ sector upcoming. And then, of course, we have everybody else following afterwards. And essentially, why is this so important? It's because of the juncture that we are at on this chart, where we are either going to see a bearish reaction, and we're going to be right back down testing our lows, and we're going to have some despair and some letdown for bulls and reaffirmation for the bears as we head into the end of the year. And this earnings season reaction here, the next 2 weeks, could potentially dictate the momentum with which we start 2020. If it is a bullish reaction, we know there's a ton of shorts in this sector, they're going to feel some pressure, and it could be the psychological event that the market can then point to and say, that was our temporary bottom, we're now going to bounce and look for monthly lower highs on a lot of names, and we're going to potentially head into 2020 starting bullish. It is not unusual for the start of a new year to be bullish in this sector. Yes, a lot of people are going to be looking at the potential of tax loss selling in December to pull the price back again a bit, have some downside pressure. That's a possibility. Again, I've laid out even just my own little personal scenario where there's an account I'm trading for someone else and they're green on the closed trades and red on open trades, and rather than pay taxes in that scenario, it makes more sense to me to sell some of the losing open positions and to get that tax burden to zero. So it is something to be paying attention to, but first things first, earnings are going to be the most important. And again, that can dictate. The herd always needs a reason to point to something and say, why is this happening? And again, the example that I love is when the market was going down years ago and CNBC was saying it was because of Ebola. And it just makes it more rational for people to understand and be able to say, well, this is why this is happening. This is why the price is moving up or down. And if we see bullish reactions to earnings, that's going to give the bulls confidence to something tangible that they can point to and say, this is why we have confidence in the sector again. So it's a lot of pressure on these bulls. We'll see how they react. Again, I care more about the reaction than I care about the actual numbers. Because if we see good numbers and we don't see the price react to it, then why does that matter? All I will do is lose money if I were to play based on the numbers. I want to play based on the reaction. So if you've been watching the recent videos, the one thing I keep saying over and over is the bulls need volume, and they showed up with it on Friday in a big way out of nowhere on CGC. This is the kind of day that just looks to me like, you know, someone had a meeting at some kind of big institution and said, Friday, we're going to buy a ton and we're going to put pressure on shorts. So a huge amount of volume. Again, you know, if we had a big news release Friday morning, then it would make sense. But the fact that that happens on no news, yes, Drake was added to CNBC or to CGC, didn't have a significant impact short term. The day that the news came out, we've closed at the low of the day 3 days in a row, and obviously a huge statement and a lot of trapped shorts, at least in the short term. And we know that if we can get over 2248 resistance, then anybody that has gone bearish in CGC in the last month will be underwater. That's when you start putting pressure on shorts. So 2248 will be key resistance. The hourly time frame did not consolidate really in any meaningful way. We have one little support at 2108 to be watching. 2168, 22, and then 2248 are the most important resistances, and the bulls are so strong that we know we will very likely form an hourly higher low once this move tops out. So keep in mind, again, if you are going to hold through earnings, you are absolutely gambling. You don't have any idea how the market's going to react. Yes, you've maybe done some nice research on the sector as a whole, but just be aware that it is a big gamble as to how it's going to play out. So there are definitely a lot of bulls positioning themselves for that gamble, it looks like. And we'll see if we get any kind of selling pressure before Thursday. Perhaps some bulls locking in profit when you go 10% in a day. And if we go up a little bit more this coming week, then that's the potential to lead to a scenario where we may see some profit taking heading into Thursday. But again, if it's a bullish reaction, we're going to have a weekly trend change with a little higher low and higher high. And we'll be looking up at 28.41 as the most important resistance. Actually, 28.89 right up there will be the most level. And if it's a bearish reaction, we're looking right back down at 17.89. But again, pretty clear statement. Bulls saying we are not going to break the low before earnings. It's going to have to be a bearish reaction to earnings that's going to take us down to lower lows. So congrats to the CGC bulls. What was the indication of strength? You know, that you could have seen this coming. We had a 5-minute equilibrium to start the day. Look at when the volume came in. It was pretty much the bulls saying, okay, there's our go signal, 5-minute equilibrium breaking bullish. And the fact that we just kept running, again, no way, especially coming off the market sentiment that we've seen, that you could just say, this is going to happen. We're going to run 10% today. It's the kind of thing where you need to be in a position and either setting a stop at break even and enjoying that ride, or just allowing the trade to play out longer. But again, if you're sitting there and saying, oh, how did I miss this? It's pretty easy to miss that move, just in the sense that, again, it's such unusual action compared to what we've seen. But what this one move does do is now has us paying attention for the rest of the year for us to say, all right, if these bulls show up with volume, we can move pretty quickly because of how many shorts are in this sector. Another point I wanted to make is, again, I've been trading the MJ sector, starting with penny stocks for over 9 years now, and the new year does generally have, just like the fall cycle with elections and votes has a bit of a catalyst that usually carries over into the new year. And if you look back at the cycles in the MJ sector, you will see that fall and winter are usually bullish periods and summer is usually the bearish period. So we'll see if the earnings catalyst can change the sector sentiment. So Cron had a big green day. The other thing that stood out Friday, and again, I was just looking on my phone and watching how everything was reacting and feeling no FOMO to try and trade on my phone in unfavorable situation, but it was the sector responding to CGC. And if you needed any more kind of convincing that CGC is running this show in the short term, yes, individual names are doing their own thing. TRUL, Labs, they're doing their own thing. Even VFF, forgot to put VFF up here. But bottom line is, CGC is running this show. So if CGC earnings on Thursday are going to be very critical, and when CGC has bottomed, it is extremely likely that the sector has bottomed as well. And you could just see how everyone was reacting to what CGC was doing on Friday. Let's pull up VFF and then get into these other names. So we got Cron with the green day. Still a lot of work to do. I would still consider anything under 937 as a daily lower high. So we got our high, low, lower high, lower lows, another lower high and lower low. Big green volume comparative to the past couple of weeks. And we're looking up at 937. But what the bulls are looking to do is change this weekly trend. And we need to hold 740 and break 1056 for a clear trend change. I would not be surprised to trade within this range from a few weeks ago from that wild action. Wouldn't be surprised to trade within that range for even another couple weeks through earnings unless we see significant earnings reaction. But watching for a lower high compared to 937 early this coming week. ACB, this is getting to be a nice tight range that we're going to expect for a clear break in the very near term future, where we pretty much have a double bottom at 351 and a double top at 394. So that is the range to be watching. You can see we've pretty much been trading within that range for almost a month at this point. And the big bull volume, the nice strong close, key resistance 392 and 394. If we break those levels, it will be the most notable shift that we have seen in the short term in quite some time, and we will likely see a bull cross of these exponential moving averages for the first time since the bear cross in the $9 range. So again, just starting to absolutely pay attention, because the momentum shift is here for the taking if bulls can give the numbers that lead to bulls grasping this opportunity and following through with it. Hourly consolidation on ACB, again, no hourly consolidation, and we are looking at 382 as a bit of a double top. Have to change the hourly trend into this coming week for these names to see significant follow through. You want to keep pressure on shorts, give us an hourly bull flag Monday morning into continuation, and that would continue to put that pressure on those shorts and be very notable if the bulls could pull that off. Just be aware, we have not changed the hourly trend on a lot of these names. The bull volume was so swift and so fast moving on Friday that it didn't allow for much consolidation at all. APHA, so again, anything under 541 is just a lower high. Bulls still have a lot of work to do, over 5% just to get to that resistance. Hourly time frame, need to see a higher low form at some point. And again, some names are positioned way better than others. I like just the fact that ACB has such clear resistance to get over. And again, shorts, anybody that goes short or went short on ACB in the last month will be underwater if we break 394. That's not the case for APHA. We would have to get over 570 for that to be the case. And again, that's still a ways away. So different positioning for some of these names, all generally going in the same direction, but there are minor details that distinguish themselves. So we have support at 2176 on Tilray, TLRY. 2569 is the most important level to break. And the weekly time frame, flat trading. Again, I've been using the 2-day chart a little bit more recently to just see the low, high, higher low, and a clear trend change if we can get over 2569. So that is the most important level. And pretty much any name out of the major names or the mid-cap names, we have a clear, distinct level where if we get over this level, any bear that is short in the last month will be underwater. That's the most important level. So again, if I had a piece of paper next to my computer, for each individual name, I'd be writing down that most important short-term level. And the more names that break those levels, the more bullish it is for the sector as a whole. Hexo, nice little 4-day move here. We did break first resistance of 234. We're now looking up at 286. And again, we have a lot more work to do on a name like Hexo coming off the low. Daily trend change would still need a higher low and higher high wherever that happens, but it does look like a weekly oversold bounce is going to be getting underway, and anything on the weekly chart under 462 is just a lower high. And again, that's a 100% move from where we stand to get to weekly resistance. So a name like this, we're definitely going to be looking for a weekly lower high to be set. OGI 401 is the most important resistance level. If we get over that, anybody that's gone bearish in the last month and a half will be underwater. And again, the 2-day time frame is looking like a much more clear little trend change with our low, high of the bull move, higher low, still need this follow through. Again, all these bulls had a great Friday, but they still have proving to do. And for OGI, that proving number is 401. If we were to reject from 401 and then need to consolidate, it would pretty much, open the door to say, okay, earnings reactions are going to dictate how we break these tight ranges. So even if we keep this bull move going to start this coming week, just be aware that it will come down to earnings as to whether this move gets followed through and marks our bottom or doesn't. CTST had a bear break under 104. No follow through at this point, but it is still a downtrend of lower highs and lower lows. Anything under 133 is just another lower high, keeping those bears in full control. T-God is starting to base out a little bit. It's looking like a 4-hour falling wedge, which is just a pattern that shows bear exhaustion. And I would be drawing support line with multiple touches, 3 touches there, resistance line coming up. And anything under 118 is just a lower high on this 4-hour time frame. Looking at the daily chart, that's the level that has to break to change the trend. We essentially have a double bottom, and now we have to get over 118. But if we do, that will be a notable shift that has a zoom out on the weekly, and we would then look for a weekly lower high to form. Pretty much anything under 353 is a weekly lower high for me. So names like T-God and Hexo that got a bit more beat up have a lot more work to do on these weekly time frames. Remember how TRUL changed its weekly trend, and it has stood out to us for a couple months at this point. So changing the weekly trend is obviously very important, and it's going to take a while for some of these names that are already down at their lows. A name like Labs is on its way to a weekly trend change, just in the sense that we have seen such a massive move that we know when we top out, a weekly higher low is extremely likely, and timing would be so good for Labs if we could see the sector bottom and have bullish earnings reactions, and then see Labs move forward with their uplisting in early 2020. That would just be a great catalyst to have these bulls fairly confident overall, as they did not pull back as much from the all-time high. Well, actually, it did, percentage-wise. Just happened really quickly, and it's moving. It's a low cap name, so it moves a lot quicker in both directions, just like VFF. Less of a float and a little bit of dollar volume goes a long way in these names. So a daily inside bar with some upper wicks of profit taking. Do we still have an hourly uptrend? We have an hourly equilibrium. So we've got our high of 547, low of 549. Lower high was hit up at 543, and now we're looking for a higher low. compared to 509. So we have to see that hourly uptrend lost to look for a daily higher low to form. Anything above 442 is a daily higher low. Bulls are comfortable that daily uptrend is not going to be lost in the immediate future. Look at our double top, 549 and 547. So this is a pretty critical resistance level. But if we do not break it, we will still anticipate a daily higher low to potentially give those bulls another chance. VFF had a great bottom fishing play on Friday. We held support by $6. So low, high, higher low, failed to break resistance, held support, and then a big bull move up through resistances. So again, the volume is there, huge move percentage-wise, thinly traded, definitely moves nicely, up even more than CGC from the low of the day. And we now have, again, that 2-day trend change where we've got our low, high, higher low, lower high, higher low bull break. Zoom out to the weekly chart. Still just looking for a weekly lower high compared to 1253, but again, this is a welcomed shift in momentum, and VFF has stood out to us ever since this bull move back here, where we created a lot of space to anticipate a daily higher low could form after that bull move. It has stood out as one of the stronger Canadian MJ names, and it's still doing that with this continuation move. So out of all the Canadian MJ names that we just looked at, Labs and VFF continue to stand out as bullish. We got T-God, CTST, Hexo, that group of names is definitely the weaker group. And then we have CGC, the star of the show. How are we going to react to earnings? We will see the sector react to Cron earnings because it's the first of the group out of the major Canadian MJ names. But we will see CGC have the biggest impact in my opinion. So get ready. CGC announcing a CEO on their earnings would be a nice little boost as well. And again, this we could potentially, again, I have no idea what the reaction to earnings is going to be, but this may be the moment where we point and look back and say, remember how bad 2019 was and how much despair there was? And remember when those earnings marked the bottom? That's a possibility. So something we're keeping an eye on. IIPR earnings definitely marked as temporary bottom. We've now seen a massive move off of this low. I'm confident that our monthly higher low is set. We bounced 30%. So if we look at the monthly time frame, we knew we were looking for a monthly higher low. We had the big bull move up with no monthly supports established, pulled back, and now we're going to look for a bull move and a lower high on the monthly to form. And looking at the daily chart, the most important support, 72.30, anything above that is a daily higher low, keeping the bulls in control. And the next most important resistance would be 92.83. Hourly uptrend still intact, lose the hourly uptrend, and then that daily higher low will have to form. But again, this is one of the OG names as far as USMJ goes, and the fact that they were the first ever IPO on the NYSE in the marijuana sector, and we're going to be watching for some follow through. Have to see trend changes all over the place. Again, even if I'm not an IIPR and I'm in other USMJ names, I want to see IIPR do well because that's only going to increase sector sentiment. We've got the S&P 500 certainly bullish. We do have market levels at extreme greed, so that's something to be cautious of, but market's just fine right now. TRUL, again, just a shining star of increasing bull volume. It has stood out time and time again for its strength over the past month plus, and this weekly time frame changed its trend, and here we are now looking up at 1517, and if 1517 breaks, we are then at the highest price that we have seen in 6 months, 5.5 months. It's very notable. So anything on the daily time frame above 1340 will be a higher low, keeping the bulls in full control. Again, I did get shaken out of my position to lock in some profit. As I said, I'm in conservative mode at this point in my trading career, so my mistakes are going to be leaving money on the table rather than losing money. So I exited on the loss of the daily uptrend from my entry back here and locked in small profit and missed this move to the upside. The good news is, in my girlfriend's long-term portfolio, I bought this consolidation to average down her position, and now she is in the green on her longer-term TRUL hold. So, not the first time where I perform better with my trading in someone else's account than I do my own. CURA. Still a potential, bear flag. It's not a strong bounce at all. I would say the fact that the bears haven't punched it through to lower lows at this point decreases the odds of a bear flag a good bit. But as far as changing the trend, still anything under 740 is just a lower high. That's the most important resistance level for me. And I definitely want to see Curaleaf, even if I'm not interested in the position right now. I definitely want to see a daily trend change to help this sector shift its sentiment. CWeb. Very significant bounce. So this is the kind of play where I look to heading into earnings, where you're extremely extended in one direction and you start to look in the other direction in the coming days, where you say bulls are going to view it as a discount to get in before earnings, and bears are going to potentially start covering their shorts because they have nice profit, and why risk those shorts on an unknown event. So earnings are coming up. We are just looking for a lower high compared to 1862, but a nice strong close, and hourly lower highs have broken. It's another name that has not changed the hourly trend, so we can't get too excited. Even if we start Monday morning green first thing, we would have to see very notable bull volume in the first hour of trading for that to keep up, because again, we are extended and we do need hourly higher lows to form in a lot of these names. IAN is finally giving us that daily higher low that we were looking for. We had 152, high of 245. Our higher low is now 173, and we're going to look for a lower high compared to 245 to stay in a tightening equilibrium. So something along these lines is what we're going to be looking for. CL. So CL resistance, 885, 889. We got up to 888, so it's now a triple top at this point, and we know those CL bulls have to break that resistance level to see any follow through, and it's that or nothing. So that is the line in the sand, 889. Daily, anything above 750 is a higher low. So even if we reject here, we can still form a higher low and give it another attempt, but CL has to break that level, and we're definitely focusing on OH now. OH with a huge bull move, as we were talking about recently. In my opinion, the market was overreacting. The market was pricing in no deal happening with CL. The market should be pricing in the fact that we're probably not going to see the same discount. We're probably not going to see the same details of the deal, but I don't think it should write the deal off, and that's what the market is responding to here on Thursday, because CL put out a press release about moving forward with promotion in CA, California, and their California play is OH. So they didn't directly say anything about it, but they implied that that deal is still looking to move forward. So that's why the market reacted like this. This was the discount shrinking significantly as the odds of the deal increased again. And the market woke up a bit as far as being way too pessimistic in my opinion. Never got my order filled. I did get a little bit picky down here, had some orders, pulled them, and ended up, again, I wasn't at the computer Thursday, so missed OH Thursday, missed CGC Friday, but there'll always be another trade there whenever I'm ready again. So we will need a daily trend change wherever we top out. If we were to pull back and break 482 on Monday, we'll need a daily higher low compared to 363, and we'll need this daily trend change to have confidence in follow through. It's a nice impulse move, but again, need that follow through. If CL can break its resistance, that will only help the OH bounce continue, and we'll keep an eye on it. GTII, 1280 and 1298 are the most important resistance levels for me. I would consider anything under that just a lower high. Bulls are working on building a base here. The good news is we broke 1041 and didn't see a ton of follow through. Yes, it was 5% follow through, but it only was one day. That bear break occurred, and then it's 4 green days after that. So that does show some buying of the dip, and although we're just looking for a daily lower high, it gives the bulls some hope that they can build a base right around the $10 level. HARV has been one of the weaker USMJ names, and it's close to, again, shifting that momentum. If we break 386, it's going to be the highest price that we've seen in over a month, and anybody that's gone bearish in the last month will be underwater. Everybody in both sides of the border, in both sectors, wants to see that be the case. Highest price in 1 to 2 months, that's good news for bulls. So 386 key resistance, anything above 295 is a higher low, and this is one of those ones on the 2-day time frame where the trend change is trying to be a bit more clear, and the bull volume is starting to show up. We need to keep this bull volume going if we are going to mark the bottom. MedMen still tightening up, looking for a higher low compared to 130, and it's technically a bit of an inverse head and shoulders pattern, but if we can hold 130 and break 163, we will change this daily trend, and that would be very notable. Again, just coming off that low, coming off that all-time low, and getting some follow-through. Weekly exponential resistance, pretty key. That's been rejecting the price for months, and that is still all the way up just under $2, so a lot of work to do. This would go in the category with T-God and Hexo and names that are coming off of a weaker starting point on the attempt to shift their momentum. KSHB is worth keeping an eye on. We saw this massive bull move that was very quiet but very significant, and now our higher low is established at 160. It was down at 164. We broke it with no bear follow through. So if making a play here, the stop would be 160 and the target would be a bull break of 212 to continue this move. Here it is on the 2-day time frame. Low, high of the bull move, higher low, and we need that higher high. So there are definitely some names that I'm leaving out here because I can't do 2 videos and I can't cover all the tickers in the sector. But again, the bottom line, very clear. Keep up the bull volume, break to the highest prices that we've seen in over a month to continue to, or I should say to start putting some pressure on shorts. Bullish reaction to earnings. If we get a mixed bag, if Cron has a bearish reaction and CGC has a bullish reaction, it's going to be a bit choppy out there. But if we do see the first few big names start to put out bullish earnings, in my opinion, the preceding earnings after that will get a little bit of wiggle room as far as bulls will be more forgiving. If they see the initial names and the strongest names, the biggest names go bullish, they will have a different psychological mindset and they'll be easier to please, in my opinion, for the names that follow. So this is the most important earnings season for me in the sector, technically speaking, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out into the end of the year, and we'll continue tracking it day by day. I appreciate you watching. We will see you on Monday and see what kind of follow through we get, knowing that hourly consolidation is not going to be far off, and we're going to get a lot of information from that consolidation. Are we seeing declining hourly bear volume? Is it bull flags? Is it very healthy? And that could continue this bull move into earnings. One thing to be aware of is that this move on CGC, especially if we get continuation to start this coming week, it's starting to price in a bullish reaction to earnings. So, as far as a short squeeze goes, we would want to see a very big surprise. We would want to be weak heading into earnings to see the biggest kind of short squeeze reaction. But if we can see these bulls respond bullish, get to the highest price in 2 months, that's going to be a notable psychological shift. I am more concerned with the psychological shift than the technical shift at this point, and that is going to be what we're watching for the next week. So have a good rest of your weekend, and we'll see you Monday. I should give a festival update here. So it's a pretty sweet spot, nature preserve in South Carolina. It's like 6,000 acres with 7 lakes. So I like the fact that it's a smaller festival, and there's been some great music. Turquoise on Thursday night, late night, was an absolute blast. But it's definitely making me realize that festivals at 31 are a lot different than festivals at 21. And even though I'm glamping in an RV for the first time, my body is aching from just one night of dancing. I could feel my back and my ankle that I broke in high school was starting to act up, and just feeling that from one day to the next, trying to keep up. The sleep schedule is completely out the window and trashed, and having fun, seeing some other good music. It was Umphreys, The New Deal. It's my buddy's birthday, and the good thing about this is there's a whole bunch of space and something like 7 lakes. So in the morning, I just go on a walk by myself and sit by the lake and recharge as far as some solitude and getting away from the crowds and all the people, and then getting back to it after some recharging. So definitely missed the charts and trading, but also a very welcomed break. I'm sleeping in due to staying up late more than I have in a very long time, and it's nice to mix it up, and also looking forward to getting back into the flow and routine in just a few days. Empire Strikes Brass is about to go on. I'm going to go watch them, and I'll see you all Monday.